Hello everyone and welcome to DM Talk. I'm Henry Knight. I'm the DM for Playerole. Tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central we have continuation of Campaign 2, Episode 31. Join us tomorrow night. But tonight we have a very important episode. We have DM Talk. I want to talk about what happens behind the scenes. What happens behind the scenes when you come up with a campaign. First of all, we talked about in an earlier episode, we talked about what gives you ideas, what gives you your drive for a campaign. Once you get all that together, now you have the setup. You're ready to play the game. We did talk about that in earlier episodes. What do you need to do to set up? Confidence is the number one thing. You have to have the confidence. For one, I'm streaming, so of course you're going to have a little bit more confidence because you're streaming not only with people around you, but you're streaming to people that are watching and more. Confidence is the key when you do things behind the scenes, behind the DM board, the DM screen. Everything has a reason. Like I have my notes and stuff. My DM screen has, stuff like exhaustion, exchange rates, stuff like that normal DM screens have. Every DM screen is different. Every game is different DM screen wise. But those are the things you need to have when you're ready for the game, because you gotta be ready, you gotta be on your feet. Now, you can have a very, very unique story. You could have an elaborate setting, and the players will run your game amok if you're not prepared. What do I mean by that? Here, I'm going to show you, because this is all behind the scenes stuff that I'm going to show you. And I will show you. I love stuff like this because this is cool. I love behind the scenes stuff. I like to show people what happens behind it. What work do you need to do when you DM? And if you want, you could have random. You can see this. This is out of the DM's guide. Benjamin Master. There you go. See. It has, I made printouts of random creatures they run into. A friend of mine at work gave me, he put all the magic tables together, so I have that. And of course, you can do it digitally and have it on a screen, which is easier, but I love to do all the work on paper. That's just me. So, you have your dungeons and stuff, and most importantly, what I like is the list of names. I have a list of names, yeah. You gotta be careful because you don't want to, human male names, so I'm gonna show you the male names. Female names, yeah, and stuff like that. So I have pretty much ready when it comes to names of different characters, and have different creatures offhand. You can do that. You can really be prepared and be ready. Now, you don't have to. You could sandbox the whole damn thing if you want to. But I like to be a little prepared for what's happening and so forth. Now, I use minis, and I also use, here, let me show you, you guys can see, Captain Dranger. Here, this was one of the main big bads that I had, yeah. Alexander whooped his ass. But you know what? It was It was cool. Alexander is played by Christian, so this everybody knows. Yeah, that's I use minis. That I use this, and I also use these. Very cool. I use both. You know, miniatures are an expense, but I use both. And I'm going to reveal a couple more miniatures tomorrow. But what is this behind the scenes thing? I mean, behind the scenes, behind the screen, behind the scenes, whatever you want to call it, it's a lot of work involved. It is. That because you can know the books, know the game in your head, and off the fly you can say, okay, I'm going to do it. But you need little notes here and there you have to reflect on. Not everybody is going to do things on the top of their head, and it's great to do that. But it's great to have notes. It's great to have little things here and there that can help you out. You know, I have what, 3 pieces? 1, 2, yeah. I've got the DM screen, and I've got the webcam on top of the screen, the wooden screen, and then I have the story on one side, and then I have my characters underneath my keyboard. If I pull out the character, I'll go ahead and pull them out. I have the written version. I also have the D&D Beyond version as well on screen. The only thing that sucks about that is you gotta minimize the screen and go from one to another. Not only that you're doing that, you're delegating, you know, everything else, and that's cool. I mean, it's great. I love doing that. It's a part of the game that makes it awesome. Now, season 3, I talked about doing Vampire, and I have it on Patreon, the Masquerade, Vampire the Masquerade, the Dark Ages. What is that going to entail? I will tell you that game. What's up, Caleb? How you been, man? Thank you for watching and saying hey. How you doing, sir? Hopefully you're doing well. Thank you for watching for a little bit. I appreciate it. If fantasy's your thing, watch the game tomorrow at 7 p.m. I'm doing fine. Yeah, things are moving along, trucking along. Yeah, just having a blast doing the stream here. Thank you, Caleb, for commenting. Caleb's is a good friend of mine. We used to work together, and now he's doing his thing, man. So it's great. Just like I'll be doing my thing soon. Anyways, I was saying that when you have the story and you have all your pieces together, everything's behind the scenes. The players don't see what you have. You know, I've got a dice box. Here, let me, without revealing too much, let me see if I can pop this camera off. Actually, I'm not going to do that. So what I'll do is, I'll bring it to the camera. I have this nifty box I got for Christmas. Yeah, so this is my rolling box I have, and it's cool to have these things. You don't have to have it. You don't have to have these things to play the game. To play the role-playing game, you need dice and imagination and run the game. You don't have to have stuff like this, but it's cool to have. And thank you, AJ, for getting me this for Christmas. It's awesome. So what else do we have here? I got a bunch of dice. You know, as a DM, you need pencils. If you're working digital, you don't need them. But it's also nice to have pencils just in case folks like the pen and paper thing. I'm old school. I'm always going to do pen and paper. But if some players want to do pen and paper, there you go. You got to be prepared for that. that stuff that's behind the scenes that make it easier for people to play the game, not just on your phone or a pad or a laptop or whatever you have with you. You'll have it digitally. It's nice to have it digitally, but it's also nice to have pen and paper. It kind of brings everything back in perspective. I also have my put my notes on here, a dry eraser, got a little board and stuff. See, I have my notes and stuff, and I have that too. It's nice to have that. It's nice to have those things. Now, not everyone's going to be prepared like that. Not everybody's going to do that, and it's okay, because in role playing, what makes up role playing, and I said this time and time again, is your imagination. You have an imagination, and you focus on your character. Is your character strong? Is your character weak? Is he perceived strong but weak? Is he weak in the mind, in strength altogether? Those are the things that make up role play. Let me check my levels here. Everything streaming wise looks okay. Thank you, Caleb, for saying hey. I appreciate that. It means a lot. Now, you don't have to have all the books. You don't. All you really need to do to run Dungeons and Dragons, have the player's manual, the monster manual, and a DM's guide. That's it. That's it. Nothing wrong with that. You don't even have to have the DM's guide, really. Just the player's manual, the monster manual, and go from there. DM's guide is just to help you to run the story and how to do things. So, and there's a lot of magic stuff in there too, but you really don't need it. You really don't. You don't need to buy all the books. It's nice to have. It's nice to have the nifty player's manual. I'm looking over here because I want to show you. 2024 version I have on the bookshelf there that I have. I've got that and everything else is digital. But it's nice to have a real life copy, folks. I'm not going to stress it. I love digital stuff. Love it to death, but I love to write. And I love to have things on paper. So all my characters that you see in the game are on paper, printed out, written or whatnot, and they're on digital. Both formats. That's just the way it is. I love to keep that type of thing. Now, I do have... What else? What I was going to tell you guys? Yeah, this behind the scenes, behind the DM screen, is more than just rolling dice. Because you tell the story and you're immersed in this wonderful world of yours that you created. And people, your friends, your family, whoever is playing at your table, will remember the game or not. And it's up to you to make it good for everybody. Well, how do you make it good? How do you make it better? How do you bring people to your table? Well, simply write the story. Tell an epic adventure. Is it a diesel punk world? Is it a fantasy world? Whatever world you have, that's the important thing. And we're in episode 48. 2 more episodes and the season 1 for DM Talk is done. And Creatures of the Realm will return. That's what I have going. And we're going to talk about stuff in the Monster Manual and go from there. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I got a new format. You guys will like it. But either way, what is DM Talk? DM Talk is talking about the fundamentals of gaming, TTRPG. Everybody thinks... let me stress. In 2025, everybody thinks that role-playing is role-playing doing voices, and rolling dice. Yeah, you can do voices if you want. Rolling dice is the key. Having people around the table understanding your story, rolling dice, you don't have to act out your character. You can be who you want to be. If you want to be a pirate, if you want to be a swashbuckler, yeah, there is that in D&D. If you want to be a druid, if you want to be a magic user, those are the things that make up the fantasy world of Dungeons and Dragons. Those are the things that makes role-playing, not the acting part. Yes, it's good to act and good to get into your character. Yes, get into it. Yes, that's what I stress. Awesome. If you can, but not everybody's going to do it. Not everybody has that ability. And one thing about role-playing that people have forgotten in 2025, role-playing brings people together. Everyone. Everybody. Because they have the one thing in common is TTRPG, tabletop role-playing game. Everyone has that in common. Not everybody is going to agree, but the one thing they have in common is role-playing. I don't know how many times I went to a gaming store and they're talking about Warhammer, and we're talking about whatever game, and I jump into a conversation or I somehow get sucked into it, and we talk about whatever experience you had in your game or their game, and that is a community. That is role-playing. Role-playing is just a book. Just pages of content. What role-playing is, behind the screen, behind the scenes, the game master, the storyteller, the dungeon master tells a story. The players, they're the ones. They're the spotlight. That is what role-playing is, folks. The time you enjoy yourself with the people around you. The time that you smile and laugh at one of the guys that tried to open the door, but he tried to pull it instead of simply pushing the door. It's simple stuff like that. Or trips. You went to attack the owlbear and missed. Fell on the ground, the sword did a 360 in the air and fell. And people are like, oh. All the other players are like, oh my gosh. So those are the things that make up role-playing. Those funny moments, those moments to get mad at the DM, like my guys, they do not like legendary actions. So my buddy George, he always mentions legendary action. He's like, F that, legendary action. And okay, that's fun. That's role-playing. Where there's this banter that goes on between player and the storyteller, the DM, the game master, the referee, whatever you want to call yourself. You have this exchange. And that connection makes up role-playing. See, when I first wanted to do DM talk, I wanted just to talk about different experiences in role-playing. The story, the game mechanics, or whatnot. What's good about the game mechanics, what's bad about the game mechanics. We went over that in earlier episodes. What makes up role-playing, which I just mentioned now. I'm giving you behind the scenes, behind the screen, what's important, what's not important. You don't have to use a rolling box. You don't have to have all the books, but you have to be prepared. Write down names, because somebody's going to come up to you, your players, like, who am I talking to? Who's that bartender? Tony, the bartender. That comes out of your mind, whatever. You could sandbox it or have it written. You just be prepared. You're not railroading. You're not taking them in one way and everybody's gonna, go my way. No, that's not what. There's got to be some form of railroading in your game, no matter what it is, to keep them on track. Sprinkle here and there, but don't completely railroad the game, because then that'll seem forced and people will be unhappy. But all that stuff is part of role playing. So anyways, I was talking about behind the screen and what makes behind the screen so awesome. I love to play. I played in my buddy's game, Anthony Annis. And I'm going to give him a shout out. Anthony Annis, check out him and Alex, his game, Mighty Heroes of the Old. Tomorrow is a Kickstarter, and check it out. Folks, check it out. Check out their support. They're great guys. Anthony's a great guy. His son, Alex, another great guy. They both together created this awesome role-playing game. Check it out. That being said, what is behind the scenes that makes role-playing so enticing? So you have the players, you make your character, and you have a great DM, a storyteller, whatever you want to call them. You have a person telling the story. People love that. You have the communication. So what makes everything the screen? What makes people want to DM or storytell? What makes people want to go behind the screen? Because, you got to know all these things. You got to know the world. You got to know the character you're developing. You got to know all these things. So what makes it enticing? I'll tell you what makes it enticing. You're creating your world, and people are playing your homebrew game. That's why I love homebrew. I love homebrew because you write it. I love how the characters are a part of it. I don't want to play a Curse of Strahd or Vecna, the Eve of Rising. I don't want to play any of that. I read it. They're great. They're awesome. But I don't want to play those things. I want to play in my world. I want people to play in my world. I want everyone to have a great time. Just like I mentioned Anthony Yanis and Alex, how they created their world and want people to join in their world. That is role-playing. When you get people around the table, they sit down, roll the dice, make a character, and play the game. That is role-playing, folks. And what makes it so enticing to be behind the screen, not only do you create the world, you act out every flippin' character in it. And to me, it's challenging, and that makes it possible. That makes it very enticing. That makes it wonderful to be behind the screen. It's a chance to diffuse, a chance to focus on something that you love. And you know what? If that's the important things, folks, I want to make sure that my levels are good recording-wise. I have to check because everything has been recording. Good. I have to check because that's the way it is sometimes. When you're streaming, it cuts off every now and then. It happens. Anyways, behind the screen, you can be prepared. You can have all the little elements, and one or two players will wrap everything around you. And then you'll be like, oh my gosh. And then what makes it seem like you're going underwater, the tables are turned. That's fun because the highlight are the players. And you're just the narrator. You're the moderator. You balance things, make it flow. You're the ocean. The players are merely swimming in it. What makes the screen so enticing? Behind the screen so enticing? Not only are you telling a story, you're developing your own world, your world building. Little by little, that world gets bigger and bigger. I wanted to create an anthology series, which I did. Season 1 was in the Western part of Dominulus, which is my world. And Season 2, Campaign 2, was in the eastern part of Dominulus. And Campaign 3 will also be in Dominulus, but another story, another part in Dominulus. Those are the essence, the very essence of roleplay. I want to mention again how amazing it is to create. And Anthony and Alex had created Mighty Heroes of the Old. They created a beautiful, beautiful fantasy world. I want you guys to check it out. They'll be in Chattanooga tomorrow, the convention there. Come see them, try out the game, support them. They are just amazing. And you want to know what makes people love role-playing? The way I love role-playing is having that, creating a world just like Anthony and Alex did, creating their world, their realms, their characters, their role-playing experience. That's what makes role-playing. And that's what makes things behind the screen so enticing. That you could create, you can world build, excuse me. You can world build. All that is what makes roleplay and behind the screen. No matter if you're a game master, storyteller, or referee, those are the amazing things. Again, I want to mention Anthony Yanis and Alex. I want to mention both of them because they're great guys. They created Mighty Heroes of the Old. Check it out. It'll be tomorrow. Check them out. Say hi to them in Chattanooga, the convention there. And Kickstarter starts tomorrow. In the meantime, tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central, Playerole. Campaign 2 continues, episode 31. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow.